Hey, you're listening to a story about promises broken quieter than whispers. There's an unopened jar of pickles in my fridge that might outlast the last thing she swore to me. That's where this begins, because laughing at the mess feels safer than screaming into the void. It wasn't a stormy breakup, no slammed doors or shattered plates, just a Tuesday. She was trimming her split ends on the couch, eyes glued to some dating show when I walked in with takeout bags dangling from my tired hands. Without looking up, she said, "Ethan used to bring me sunflowers, not soggy fries." I froze. The scissors kept snipping. She dropped that line like it was small talk about the weather. Maybe it would have stung less if Ethan hadn't already been the topic of conversation 3 times that week. Every mention came wrapped in nostalgia. Ethan was adventurous. Ethan knew how to dance. Meanwhile, I stood there holding lukewarm food, wondering what parallel universe I'd signed up for. So, calmly as rage allows, I said, "Go ahead, let him deal with your split ends." She laughed, called me dramatic. "It's not like I'm leaving you for him," she smirked. But by morning, half her wardrobe was gone, her toothbrush missing, and a note sat taped to the fridge. "At Claire's for a bit, don't overthink this." Claire? Sure. Claire called me 2 hours later, baffled. Hadn't seen her, didn't know she was coming. You can guess the rest. She wasn't at Claire's. Her location sharing betrayed her, a blinking dot parked squarely in Ethan's zip code. Amateur mistake. 2 days later, after silence so thick it choked me, texts poured in. "We need to talk. I didn't mean it. Please, Alex." And then I messed up. I caved. She called non-stop, morning, afternoon, even during a work call. I lied and told my boss it was spam. But here's the twist. That first night after she left, I slept better than I had in months. Still, the story doesn't end there. It never does. The first night alone, I found myself standing in the hallway, staring at the faint dip her side of the bed had left behind. Her perfume lingered, stubborn on the pillow. Why did I breathe it in? Maybe I thought controlling the pain would soften the blow. Spoiler, pain doesn't ask permission. It barges in and takes over. I didn't cry, not right away. Instead, I did something crueler. I blamed myself. Was I too dull, too predictable? Did Ethan make her feel alive while I only offered safety? Let's face it, safe is boring compared to unpredictable. Last month, I sorted her meds by expiration date while she ran off with Gordon to grimy bars and listened to amateur bands that couldn't even tune their instruments. At 2:11 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was her. "Are you up?" Then, "I can't sleep." And finally, "Please don't shut me out." I didn't reply. Instead, I stared at the screen until it went dark, then flipped it over and lay in bed alone. By day 3, the silence in the house roared louder than her voice ever had. Her hair lingered everywhere, on the couch, in the sink, tangled around the shower drain like an unshakable memory. For a moment, I thought about shaving my head. I didn't go through with it, but the fact that the thought crossed my mind terrified me more than anything else. Then came the envelope. Hand-delivered, no stamp, no return address. Inside was a photo. Her and Gordon at some bar. His arms slung casually around her shoulders as she laughed, head back, eyes closed. She looked different. Not the woman who nagged about budgets or meal prep schedules. Just alive. No note, just the image. Was it from her, taunting me, or someone else trying to twist the knife? Either way, it broke something inside me. I called her. I shouldn't have, but I did. She didn't answer. Left a voicemail instead. "Max, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Please don't hate me." I replayed it 5 times before deleting it and clearing the trash folder so I wouldn't torture myself at 3 a.m. when loneliness crept in hardest. But here's the kicker. The next morning she showed up at my door, crying, makeup smeared, wearing that hoodie I got her for our second anniversary, now 2 sizes too big. "I can't stay there," she choked out. "He hasn't changed." I should have shut the door, should have walked away, but I didn't. I opened it wider. That was my second mistake. By the time she stood on my porch, she wasn't the same smug woman who'd claimed Gordon made her feel alive. She looked exhausted, defeated. Her eyeliner streaked, her hair thrown into one of those lazy buns she used to do when she felt sick. She clutched my old college hoodie like a lifeline, the one with a hole under the sleeve. I should have turned her away, but I stepped aside instead. She strode in like nothing had changed, heading straight for the kitchen. Opening the fridge, staring blankly, acting like this was still her home. Then she said something I'll never forget. "He's still the same. Nothing's changed." I wanted to ask if she'd slept with him, but I already knew. The guilt was written all over her. The way she avoided my gaze, how her voice cracked when she asked if we could talk. She sat down at the kitchen table like it belonged to her again, like none of this mess mattered. "It's stupid," she muttered. "He drinks too much. He still relies on his mom to save him. Half the time he drones on about crypto, and the other half he asks if I still have that tattoo on my hip." I didn't want to listen, but I let her talk. She told me she missed how steady I was, how safe it made her feel, how she longed for my quirky habits, sorting bills by color, making French toast every Sunday, humming off-key in the shower. Then she broke down, sobbing uncontrollably into her hands. I stood there, arms crossed, wondering how many times she'd spun this web of lies before. How many apologies were sincere, and how many were just attempts to rewrite the story. "Max, please," she choked out through tears. I was terrified of settling into monotony, of losing myself. I thought maybe Gordon could reignite something in me, but it was a mistake. He's the same chaotic mess I left behind. I sat across from her, not because I forgave her, but because I needed to see regret up close, and it was pitiful. Then she said it. "Can I come back?" My mind split in 2. One side screamed, "No," urging me to end this chapter forever. The other, softer side whispered, "Maybe we can fix this. Maybe people really do mess up." I told her I needed time. She nodded like she expected it, said she'd stay with her sister for now. I didn't argue, but as soon as she left, I did something unexpected. I called Gordon. Finding his number took only minutes, scrolling through old shared phone plan bills. When he answered, it was casual, like he was waiting for a package. "Yeah, this is Max," I said. Silence, then a laugh. "Oh, the husband." I bit back the urge to yell. "Did she stay with you?" He didn't hesitate. "For a couple nights. She's still in love with you, man." His tone was almost bored. I told him she was chasing shadows. Then he hung up. No anger, no drama, just a clean disconnect. But if I thought that call would bring clarity, I was wrong. 2 nights later, I found something in our bedroom that shattered everything. It wasn't hidden, that's what made it sting. In the top drawer of her nightstand, right there in plain sight, was a small velvet pouch. Inside, a gold necklace with a tiny heart locket. Not hers, not mine, definitely not for me. I knew before I opened it, but I did anyway. Inside the heart was a photo. Him, Gordon, smirking in grainy resolution like some relic of the past. Behind it, a folded note written in handwriting I recognized instantly, a messy scrawl I'd glimpsed over her shoulder once in old texts. "You always knew where home was." That simple sentence shattered something inside me, not because of the words, but because of their weight. She stood at my door sobbing, pleading for another chance, while that note lay just 10 feet away, hidden in a drawer like some twisted insurance policy. I didn't yell or break anything. Instead, I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the locket, feeling like the world's biggest fool. I'd made soup when she was sick, rubbed her feet after long days, even apologized for things I hadn't done, all to keep peace. Yet here she was, clinging to a token from someone else, a man she swore meant nothing. I called, but it went straight to voicemail. Need to talk. Urgent, I texted. 10 minutes later, what's wrong? No response from me, just a photo of the locket sent silently into the void. The 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Finally, her reply came. I was going to throw it away, forgot it was there. It means nothing. And that's when I laughed, not out of humor, but because it was so painfully predictable. Classic lines, right up there with, I was drunk and it didn't mean anything. No reply from me this time. Instead, I drove to her sister's house, parked across the street, and waited. She emerged in sweatpants and slippers, hair tied back, startled to see me sitting there. Rolling down the window, I held up the pouch containing the locket. You forgot this. She froze mid-step. I don't want excuses, I said sharply, louder than I'd spoken in days. Understand this. I'm not your emotional cleanup crew. You can't use me to erase your guilt. She flinched as if struck. Max, please. Her voice cracked. We need to talk. I already talked, I shot back. Remember? Go be his problem. Then I drove off before she could respond. But late that night, she slipped into the house using a key I'd forgotten to take. What happened next still haunts me. The sound woke me gently, not loud, just the faint creak of the door. At first I thought I imagined it, drifting between sleep and wakefulness after days of emotional chaos. But then it came again, closer now, the careful padding of footsteps trying not to disturb. That's when I remembered. I never changed the locks. I bolted upright too quickly, stubbing my toe on the nightstand. Pain sharpened my senses as I grabbed my phone like a weapon, thumb hovering over 911. Creeping toward the hallway, I saw her standing in the kitchen, holding that cursed locket. She turned slowly, almost expectantly, as though waiting for approval. You weren't supposed to find it like this, she murmured. My mind raced, struggling to process the absurdity unfolding before me. Breaking in during the dead of night to retrieve evidence? I didn't want it to end this way. I stood with my back against the wall, arms crossed. You had your chance to change things, I said coldly. That ship sailed after the 3rd betrayal. She inhaled shakily. You don't get it, Gordon, her voice wavered. It wasn't about love. It was about proving something to myself. My throat tightened as I spoke. So you burned down our marriage just to check if you were still alive inside? She stepped closer, clutching an old locket like it held her together. I thought if I could erase him completely, maybe I'd deserve you again. Something in me shifted then, a chilling realization. She wasn't crying for losing me. She was mourning the version of me who forgave too easily, who absorbed her chaos and called it love. The man who patched over cracks with quiet dinners and tired apologies. I changed the sheets before she arrived. When she did, I looked her straight in the eye. You don't belong here anymore. Shock rippled across her face. She finally understood. The man standing before her wasn't hers to claim. There would be no rewinding time with tears or sentimental pleas. I opened the door and waited. Clutching the locket tighter, she walked out without a word. No drama, no last-minute breakdown, just silence. She didn't glance back. I locked the door behind her, sank onto the couch, and waited for relief that never came. The next day, the phone rang. Not her, but Gordon. He wanted to meet. What he told me unraveled everything I thought I knew about my wife. Gordon's call caught me off guard. I hadn't given him my number, yet his name flashed on my screen. My instinct screamed to ignore it, but curiosity gnawed at me. Against my better judgment, I answered. His tone dripped with smugness, unchanged from the one awkward barbecue we'd shared years ago. "Hey man, figured I owed you a conversation." Part of me wanted to hang up, but instead I agreed to meet. That evening, we sat across from each other in a grimy chain diner off the interstate, surrounded by greasy smells and faded dreams. Gordon looked like a relic from a 2000s music video. Slick hair, leather jacket, sunglasses despite the fluorescent lights. Instantly, I despised him. But then he said something unexpected. She lied to both of us. I narrowed my eyes. "What are you talking about? She didn't come to me because she missed me. She came to make you jealous, to force your hand." I froze, staring at him. He leaned back, reciting lines he'd clearly rehearsed. "She cried the first night, said you made her feel invisible, said she wanted to feel desired again. I believed her, let her stay. Then she began with strange questions about my income, whether I still had that inheritance from my uncle, if I could whisk her off somewhere remote." I tightened my jaw as he continued. "I told her I was broke. She didn't stay long after that, left the next morning without a word, no goodbye. But she left this." He handed me a folded piece of paper, sliding it across the table. It was a printed screenshot of a message from her. "If Alex sees us together, he'll break. He's fragile." He always caves. Something inside me gave way. I'd read books where betrayal felt like a punch, but this was different, like drowning. Quiet, slow, no air left. "She didn't want you back out of love," Gordon said, sipping his bitter coffee. "She wanted to win, that's all." I left the diner without a word, drove home in silence, the message replaying in my mind like poison. When I got there, she was on the porch, acting as if she belonged. "Can we talk?" she said, standing up, brushing imaginary dirt off her jeans. I handed her the paper. Her face shifted, confusion first, then fear, and finally that rehearsed regret I knew too well. "It's not what it seems." But this time I didn't ask, didn't need an explanation. "I changed the locks this morning. You won't be getting in again," I said. Her mouth opened, closed. Then she laughed, a bitter, cutting sound. "You think you're strong now?" she spat. "You're still the same, weak, spineless." I smiled for the first time in weeks. Not anymore. I walked past her into the house and locked the door behind me. The last thing I heard was her pounding on it over and over, as if noise could erase truth. But the real blow came the next day, not from her, but in the form of a letter from a lawyer. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, its heavy texture screaming bad news before I even opened it. It sat on the welcome mat like it had fallen from the sky. I stared at it for a full minute before picking it up, half hoping it was a mistake, a bill, anything else. But the law firm's logo in the corner made my stomach sink. Inside was a single page, typed in language so cold it stripped warmth from every word. It was from her lawyer, not mine, not a mediator. Hers. She was demanding separation, not divorce, not yet. Time to consider her options, it said. Consider her options, as if I were some possession to weigh. Unsure if she wanted to return. But that wasn't the worst part, the part that crushed me. She wanted temporary support, from me. The same woman who crept back after saying Gordon made her feel alive. The same woman who kept his ring in her jewelry box and used his name as leverage. The same woman who only returned when her escape fell apart. Now she insisted I provide her with monthly support while she sorted out her life. I wanted to yell, but instead I poured myself a cup of coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and reread the letter carefully, not missing a single detail. She was asking for money to cover rent, car payments, and even therapy for emotional distress because apparently I had caused her pain. She accused me of erratic behavior, and her lawyer claimed I was emotionally unstable, making her fear for her mental well-being. There was even a mention of me slamming a door in her face, which in reality was just me locking my own front door. That night, sleep eluded me. I wandered through the house like a ghost, every room echoing fragments of our shared past. I remembered comforting her during stressful nights, bringing her coffee in bed, and all the years I thought we were building something meaningful, only to realize I was merely convenient until I wasn't. The next day, I met with my lawyer in person. Handing him the letter, I watched as he read it with the detached calm of someone who'd seen countless human dramas. After a pause, he asked me a simple question. "Do you want to negotiate or end this?" Without hesitation, I replied, I wanted over. He smiled and nodded. "Good. Then let's gather everything. Messages, incidents, her little stunt at your place. We'll use it all." He advised me not to contact her directly anymore. Any communication would go through him from now on. 2 days later, she returned, not to argue or fight, but to confess. What she revealed on that porch at dusk was something no one else knew, not even Gordon. It was just after sunset when she appeared at my door again, unannounced. This time she looked different, not angry, not desperate, but empty, like the part of her that once manipulated others had burned out. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. She began talking the moment I opened the door. "There's something I never told anyone," she said. "Not Gordon, not anyone." Crossing my arms, I waited. She took a deep breath. "Before I ever said those things about feeling alive with him, I'd already planned to leave. I intended to paint you as the villain. I had screenshots, twisted messages taken out of context, an entire narrative ready to destroy you." Her voice wavered. "But then you stayed calm. You didn't yell or scream. You simply told me to go." And that broke everything. I didn't know how to deal with that version of you. Suddenly, I realized I'd become what I always hated. She handed me her house key, slowly and deliberately. "I'm not coming back," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't deserve to." For the first time in months, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Not happiness, not triumph, but calm. She left silently. No grand gestures, no final words, just stillness. The days that followed blended into a haze of legalities, documents, and solitary nights that no longer stung as they once did. Each morning, I pieced something back together. My habits, my courage, my identity. I returned to painting. I traveled on weekends, free from the need to report to anyone. I even destroyed that loathsome necklace in the fire pit, watching it twist and dissolve into nothing. I expected to feel shattered when it was over. Instead, I felt freer. I won't pretend I'm completely healed. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. But now I'm no longer trapped in someone else's turmoil. I'm moving ahead steadily, firmly, on my own path. If you're here wondering if life improves after betrayal, let me assure you, it does. Not because they return, but because, in time, you stop wishing they would. What part of this story struck you most? Have you ever found peace by choosing to walk away? Share your experience in the comments. We read every word. And remember to follow for more honest, heartfelt stories.